Okay, so welcome to our spoiler review of The Salt and Storm by Kendall Kulper.
This is another book that we got an advanced reader copy when we were at BookCon oh so long ago.
Can't wait till that comes around again.
Oh, we're so excited.
So we ended up waiting a while, pretty much till it almost came out, before we reviewed this, but now that we have, it's time to talk about it.
Whee!
Okay, so the basic premise of this book is there is this girl named Avery, and she is on an island in Victorian era, and basically her island is obsessed with whaling. That is just what they do. Everybody whales.
That's how they make money. If you're a dude, you're either on the ships out doing the whaling, or you're processing in the factories. And so basically their entire economy is dependent on their ships and their whaling. And
yeah,
you know that being out on sea is quite dangerous because there's
just so many things that could go wrong. So many things.
But the people of this island are very lucky because they have the Roe Witch.
And the Roe Witch was, the original Roe Witch anyways, was a woman who came to the island. She was like, I guess, heartbroken or whatever. She stayed on the island and she started like trading her services for the goods of the islanders, so that they were kind of like developed this codependent relationship. And every Roe Witch has another daughter who becomes the next Roe Witch when the old one kind of moves on. And Avery is supposed to be the next Roe Witch. Her mother decided she didn't want to be a witch. She kind of just ran away, so she left Avery with her grandmother. Her grandmother is still the current Roe Witch. Avery just really, really, really wants to be the Roe
Avery's
Witch.
mother shows up and takes Avery out of her grandmother's house, brings her into the more civilized society, like rich, and like curses her to stay there, and thus begins, I want to be a witch, 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 I want to be a witch.
She really, really, really wants to be a witch.
Like, that is her main characteristic, is I want to be a witch.
She's very pissed at her mother for standing in the way of her goals. Her mother's like, I am doing this for your own good. She's like, no you're not, you're just being a bitch. And she is trying desperately to get back to her mother, but she doesn't have access to any magic except for her ability to tell people what their dreams mean.
Because to become a witch, there is a kind of like a process, and she knows that it involves pain, because magic must involve pain, but she doesn't know what the actual process is. And so she tries to
she puts like nails in her shoes and, I don't know, stabs herself a couple of times and none of it works. So she's like, I don't know, she's not close to giving up, but she's just kind of spurred on by this dream that she has where she's a whale.
She dreams and she understands that her dream means she's going to die.
She's like a whale and she's being hunted and they stab her and she dies.
And she knows that it's impossible to kill the Roe Witch, so if she becomes the Roe Witch in time, then she should be able to survive. But at the same time, she knows you can't change your fate.
The Brave soundtrack should be coming into your head. So in comes, I don't know how to pronounce his name.
I just called him Tane.
That's what I wanted to call him, but then I'm like, is it Tane? I don't know. Tane kind of sounds better, but Tane is just so much easier, so I'm going to call him Tane, and you're going to call him Tane. And
his name is Tane right now. He shows up. He is from, I never remember.
He wasn't like a specific location. You kind of get that he was like kind of like Australia region?
New Zealand.
Yeah.
Australia, New Zealand, small island.
He wasn't actually based off of any specific culture, but kind of just like a
Maori, I think?
Ish. Like, he wasn't a Maori. She's, like, specifically said that, but he was from that region and not an actual specific native group. Anyways, he really wanted to see the big wide world when the sailors were coming in, and so he left. But when he finally kind of turned his gaze homeward, his
entire family's been killed.
And there was, like, kind of like a ship that was involved.
And so he's basically now, his focus in life is to hunt down those who killed his tribe, and vengeance.
so he's had this dream, and he's been told that, to, move on with his life, he needs to go seek out the real witch, who can foretell what dreams mean, and that's Avery. So hence they meet. She decides that he can probably help her break her mother's curse so that she can get back to her grandmother, learn the stuff that she needs to prevent her death, and he just wants her to interpret his dreams. They fall in love.
That's our basic setup.
Oh my god, that took a long time. I'm sorry.
Oh man. Okay, so first off, this book is absolutely gorgeously written. Like, it's beautiful. That's about all I can say.
Like, you get a lot of imagery from it.
Yes.
She does a lot of strong imagery. She's big on her symbols. I'm not sure that her symbols are, like, taken fully to where they should be going to, like, further them and use them properly, but she does have them and they're there, so it's a tool that I hope she works with a little more.
Spoiler alert, whales.
Whales are the big
symbol.
They just represent Avery. And it's really interesting because there's probably my favorite passage in this book is where Avery's like finally decided to talk to us about like the whaling industry, and she's like, whales are in everything. We wear them, we eat them, we use them to light our houses, we use them to grease stuff, we put them on our face, we use them to keep the rain off, we use them as corsets, like they're just everywhere. And you're like, holy crap. So like the collapse of the whaling industry must have been like detrimental to just life as they knew it. And obviously there were things that came in and took that place, but like, holy crap. And why do we still have whales? And so that was a really interesting passage. I couldn't find it, but I really liked it. But then you're like, so Avery is supposed to be represented by whales, but she really just wants to help the whalers because she wants to help the islanders, but she doesn't think about the whales in a way that she's sympathetic about
So
them.
she's like, I am a whale, and you're like, okay, cool. This is a society that relies on whales, as you said. You use whales and everything, but I want to be the real witch. That way I will be able to help people.
So the real witch is kind of like a whale.
But the thing is, she doesn't realize that she got the whale to be useful to this society has to die.
Yeah.
And it's just like, but I want to be the witch. And you're just like, come on, you're almost there. You are so close. You are so close to making this connection.
But
never makes it.
Nobody makes this connection.
And it's absolutely brilliant. Like, it's such a brilliant kind of metaphor, but it's just left there with you, the reader, to be like
put this together, come on. And in the end, like, when she's in trouble, a whale eventually kind of, like, saves her. But she never actually saves herself.
Mm-hmm. That's, one of my major problems with this book. She's just so... I think the best way is how you said it. She's so angry she doesn't see anything.
Yeah. She's very angry at her mother, and that is probably the most interesting relationship in the book. It's not the romance, it's her relationship with her mother, because her mother is basically, why is his name?
Mother Gothel?
Yes. Mother Gothel. Like, she's, like, kind of, like, kept Avery in a tower, almost, like a metaphorical tower.
But at the same time, she hasn't.
Because she's got, like, free run of the town. The only place she can't go is to her grandmother's house. But anyway, so she's like, I'm doing this for your own good, and you can see that she's doing it for her own
It's
good.
kind of very obvious that there's something they're not telling you, because they're all like, oh, magic involves pain, and I like that. That's one of my favorite tropes in fiction, where if you want to be able to do something like magic, it definitely it has to take something away from you. So it's just like, okay, if this has been like billed as a romance and just you can feel the angst just at the edges, you kind of figure out what's coming. And that makes you really frustrated because she's just still running around, frolicking through the fields, being like, my life is horrible, my mother hates me. I don't know.
I need to become a real witch. And you're like, but, like, clearly your mother is not just being a bitch. She's trying to protect you. Why can't you see that? Why are you just so angry? Why don't you, like, consider for a second what she's
Chelsey,
saying?
I think I think this has proved one thing. We are officially on the other end of the spectrum. We're sympathizing with the parents that we're not supposed to be sympathizing with. This has finally happened.
Oh
but,
my
like...
God. Anyway.
And then there's also... Her mother makes so many good, valid points, though. She's like, you do not know these people. These people do not actually like you. These people want to use you. Cough. Whaling industry. Whales. Cough.
And yeah, she's like, I will give you whatever you want. Like, I want you to go out and experience the world. I don't want you to be trapped in this
island.
In this curse, because that is actually what the Roe Witch thing is. It's actually a curse. And she's like, I don't want you to be trapped by this. I want you to get out. And Avery's like, no, I just want to be the witch.
Now, granted, there could be a simple solution to this. The mother could have sat her down and was just like, okay, this is how it is.
But she gave a good reason for why not, because she's like, if she had told Avery that in order to become the Roe Witch, she had to fall in love and get pregnant, which is, I'll get to that in a minute, I swear. She's like, Avery would have just trotted out and, like, slept with whoever was there. True. Because that is how...
I guess I'm just being too logical.
Like, and when I thought about that, too. I'm like, why don't you just tell her? But then she actually addressed that, which was really good of her, because that was a really obvious...
Alright, so the curse. Basically, how it's explained is that you're cursed, and the first man you fall in love with is going to get you pregnant, and he's going to turn on you. The curse is going to change him so he hurts you in some way. Now, it's kind of, we go through the history of previous Roe Witches, and like it's so-and-so cheats on so-and-so, so-and-so hurts so-and-so, like different, like it's not always the same pattern. But then the mother comes along, and it just becomes gray.
I was reading this. I'm like, did she, like miswrite her own curse?
Because...
the only way it kind of seems to work is that if they don't actually know how the curse works. And they're like, this is how I think it works.
That's how I read into it, because basically it's the whole first man you fall in love with, no. So the mother... wants to be the witch, but she wants to outsmart the curse kind of deal. And so what she does is, the first man she gets with, she makes sure she doesn't love him, or he doesn't love her. So that child, she gets like...
she has a child.
And also basically he's on this island, this man, and he's just like, yeah, I slept with X amount of women, I haven't gotten anyone pregnant.
And lo and behold, that's what she wanted. She wanted somebody who A, couldn't get her pregnant, and B, she didn't love. Perfect guy who says he's never had illegitimate children from anyone. And lo and behold, they sleep together, she gets pregnant.
Curse.
And
curse.
And then so he gets mad at her because he's like, who have you been sleeping with? Because it clearly couldn't have been me because I can't get anyone pregnant. And she's like, no, it's just been you. And so he...
says, I'm going to cut the child out of you, basically. He's like, and so she runs off with the kid, tries to protect her daughter, and leaves her daughter with her mother, the grandmother, because everyone's afraid of the grandmother. She goes off to find a way that she can set herself up so that she'll be safe.
That he won't, but the person who actually hurts the mother the most is actually Avery, and she's just convinced that she's not going to be a good mother, she's not cut out for this, and Avery more or less hates her anyways, right? So it's just...
So that makes you wonder, these anger issues that Avery has, are they actually Avery, or are they the curse working through Avery? Because if it's the curse working through Avery, that's
how you read it.
That's how I read it.
Yeah,
and I'm like, that's clever. It doesn't make up for the fact that I've just read 300 pages of you just whining at me.
I just read it as it was just Avery.
This book gave me flashbacks to replacements. Like,
this book reminded me a lot of things I liked, but it didn't get me. Okay, so first thing it reminded me of was Practical Magic. If you haven't seen Practical Magic, go watch Practical Magic. It's a lot of fun. Sandra Bullock and Nicole Kidman.
Yeah, you made me watch that movie.
Did I?
Yes, you did!
It's so cute! Anyways, so they're cursed for the man they love to fall in love. They're also witches. They're also on an island. They also have grandmothers who are witches. It's just like, it's almost like she took Practical Magic and was like,
Victorianized it in Wales.
Yeah, exactly. The other thing it reminded me of was my 2 favorite books, and you're thinking, okay, so this book should be... No. This book is decent.
It definitely shows a lot of promise. I'll give it that, I am going to watch this author, but this just wasn't for me.
This wasn't her masterpiece.
Except the friggin' quote about the squid. That is okay, so I'm at work and I'm reading this book and I'm sitting at my desk and I'm reading, and I don't like to write in my books. I never, ever. I took a pen and I underlined it, this quote, and I brought it over to the one woman who I was working with, and I'm just like,
here you go.
Read this.
It's just
Now this quote is in the review. If you watch our review, it's the opening line. Oh my god.
It shocked her.
She's comparing her mother to a kraken. A squid. It's just whales, whales, they go through the different levels of the ocean. They come up to the top and they dive into the bottom and they go down to the bottom and they come back up and they have all these scars and things from things down there that we don't understand. And the sailors refer to these as krakens and na. They caught one once, it looks
squid.
like this, na. So when I think of my mother,
she's like, well, that explains the relationship entirely. Holy.
That is a quote that will stick with me for the rest of my life. I'm not joking.
I know you're not joking. That's why it's funny. Yeah, so, see? Imagery. Imagery is good.
Great imagery. Sticks with you.
You can tell this author did a lot of research
for
this book. Just her list, I said, my favorite list of all the stuff that whale went into. It was just wow. And just how the whaling industry works and what they need for it, barrels and stupid other crap like that.
You feel like you've learned something.
Yeah, you do. And there was even this list, which I love. This was my favorite part. And this was actually in the afterward when she was, when it really got to me, was that apparently there's this list of, that goes in the newspaper of people, it's a do not hire list.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently they got really creative with some of the things they said about not hiring people. And one of the favorite things she found was somebody was do not hire this man. He is an excellent do nothing.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And I am never gonna forget that. Okay. Just an excellent do nothing. How many people can you apply that to? And you're yep.
That is now working its way into my vocabulary.
Yeah.
Tane. We didn't really talk about Tane. First off, the whole tattoo magic thing, I adore that. I think that's super cool. I mean, that's one of the things I loved about the Mortal Instruments, the whole, drawing. So, yeah, he is set up to be so awesome, but I knew it wasn't going to work out because, they're interpreting her dreams, and they meet up, every Tuesday or something to interpret her dreams, and he's making charms to, try and ward it off, and it's not working, and then he's like, well, I might as well just tattoo you. And you're just we didn't start with this? This wasn't our opening attempt.
Why is this plan X? Anyways, the tattooing scene was pretty traumatizing, actually. I don't think actually getting a tattoo back then would have been that painful.
It's a magical tattoo, Chelsey.
I know.
It's magic.
But I'm just trying
the tattoo magic was warring with her personal magic.
I got that part. But I was just trying to figure out whether that was an actual tons of pain thing that happened back then, and that's why getting tattooed was I don't know, macho and manly, or if that's just the author taking some artistic liberties.
I'm just saying it was magic.
You've decided it's just complete artistic liberty, huh?
Yeah, magic.
Okay.
But
think about the chance of infection back then. That is probably where it got most people.
Yeah.
Yeah. See.
See, look, I got mom tattooed onto my shoulder,
and then I lost this chunk of skin over here from the infection. So yeah, macho.
But the thing about Tane is Tane didn't have a character.
He was
nice.
Yeah, he was love is patient, love is kind. He was just patient and kind with Avery, and Avery is this bundle of anger, right? Just this bundle of anger, and he kind of calms her down.
I had a hard time believing in their romance because I couldn't see what he got out of it. Like, he gets his dreams interpreted, but that's about where it ends for me.
I mean, I guess if he enjoys her company, then she's kind of like the rediscovering the joy in life. But
how are you going to enjoy her company? All she does is, I want to be a witch.
I know.
Witch.
I know,
grandmother.
But I guess
witch.
being stuck at sea and brooding over your dead family is probably somewhat worse than listening to her. But anyways, so, like, I guess I could understand it if, like, the author kind of was like, oh, it's just, like, him slowly coming back to life because of her, and then, like, they eventually, like, part ways later on because their relationship wasn't strong enough to...
So, we get to the end of our lovely novel, and she has the dream. And she realizes, oh no, she doesn't have a dream, he has a dream. And she realizes, oh, there are two possible outcomes. I die or he dies.
There's kind of only one possible outcome because...
Yeah. You kind of realize that her death wasn't actually death, it was more along the lines of a emotional death and the fact that he dies and she's destroyed. Which... I gotta hand it to her, the fact that she kept with her you can't change your fate theme.
I appreciate it.
I really appreciate, because in a lot of these kinds of stories, it's like, oh, you can change your fate.
Fate, by, like, definition, shouldn't be changeable. Otherwise, it's not fate. At least in my mind.
I agree.
Yeah. So, anyways, he dies. She finally has a talk with her mother. She realizes she doesn't hate her mother as much as she thought she would. Does. I don't know. And her mother's finally like, just get off the island. I'll be the Row Witch. And she's like, okay, I guess I have to leave now. There is going to be a prequel.
About the mother.
I think. Could be about the grandmother even. I don't know.
See, I was a lot more interested in all the previous Row Witches.
Yeah.
In my mind, I'm like, oh, tell me the story about the woman who talks to the dead. Or tell me the story about this. I don't want to hear about... I want to be the Row Witch.
We know.
We get it.
I know. So, I'm actually really looking forward to the prequel. Mm-hmm. Like we said, this author has a lot of potential. There are a lot of things in this book we actually like, but then again, there are an equal amount of stuff that we're not quite happy with.
Like, the mythology that she creates, I'm definitely interested. I'm interested in this world. But I just need a different character. If you give me a different character to explore it with, I am there.
Yeah. So, and like we said, lovely writing style. Her themes are kind of coming along nicely. And we hope to see more of her work very, very soon. So, yes. Thanks for watching our review. If you want to see all our shenanigans, go watch the spoilerless review too.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Oh, we also have a Twitter account, so follow us on Twitter. And we're also starting a podcast called Death of the Author Podcast.
Which we will link.
Yeah. It will be on YouTube. It'll be on iTunes. Hopefully it'll get on Stitcher and SoundCloud. And yes, it's also on our website. Everything we do, hopefully, is on our website.
And our website is
www.deathoftheauthor.com.
No, it's not.
Oh my god.
Our website is www.doftheA.com.
I'm so tired.
Don't listen to her. Listen to me. Alright guys, I'll talk to you later.